Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of OmenG's Stupid Scary Stories. Now, I feel kind of bad because Thursday, I believe, was the last time I did a story. I said I was going to do a couple of stories on Friday, but I got backed up doing a whole bunch of work around the house, and time got away from me. So today, I plan on doing at least 2 stories. The first story today is going to be from the book Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends by Thomas D'Agostino and Arlene Nicholson, part of the Haunted America series. The story of the day, at least the first story of the day, is Charles Island. Let's find out what's happening here on Charles Island, shall we? Charles Island is a place inhabited by haunts from all sorts of categories. Ghosts of pirates, monks, Indians, and flying demon skeletons are just a few of the many eerie, ethereal beings that inhabit the small island off the shore of the Silver Sands State Beach. The place has a long and mysterious history that keeps some coming back and others from venturing even close to the cursed islet. A causeway that appears during low tide secures the adventurous access to the haunted island. That is, when beachgoers take to the outcropping for some sun and fun, and perhaps a chance meeting with the resident ghosts. The island had long been used as a summer retreat for the Paugussett Indians and Sachem Osantawane. The land was considered by the tribe to be holy ground, and the privacy assured them of a sacred sanctuary. In 1614, Adrian Block sailed through the Long Island Sound and mapped out the region. The island appears on his hand-drawn map that now resides in the Netherlands National Archives. In 1639, settlers began to migrate to the area known then as Weepawag. For some reason, Ensenthawe sold the island and a large tract of mainland to 40 English pioneers for the sum of 6 coats, 10 blankets, a dozen hatchets, and hoes each, a kettle, 24 knives, and a dozen small glasses. Some accounts state the glasses were mirrors, but records just say glasses. At that time, mirrors, or looking glasses, were a tough commodity to come by, especially larger ones. The term 7 years bad luck is attributed to breaking a mirror because in castles and prominent homes, large mirrors could take up to 7 years to obtain. The colony then became known as Milford, the 6th oldest settlement in Connecticut. The chief had an attractive and stunning daughter who raised the brows of both the Indians and settlers of the region. It turns out that the daughter was kidnapped just before the Paugussets moved west to join the other tribes. The chief, convinced that the white man had executed the treacherous deed upon his daughter, cursed the island in such a way that any shelter built here will crumble to the earth. The first owner of the atoll, George Hubbard, tried his hand at farming on the isolated parcel, but the soil was tainted and nothing prospered. The island changed hands over the next few years until a man named Charles Deal bought it in 1657. The island was and is to this day named after him. He took a run at the curse and thought he would have a successful undertaking by growing tobacco on the island. His tobacco venture failed miserably, and he died in 1685, leaving the island for several more owners to wrestle the curse. By 1698, the land mass was owned by Elizabeth Couch, who, living in England at the time, had no plans to be an occupant of the inheritance she had assumed. In 1699, Captain William Kidd, one of the most notorious and successful pirates in history, made a stop in Milford on his way to Boston, where he was made to believe there was a pardon waiting for him. It is told that he buried a portion of his riches on Charles Island just before parading the streets of Milford with his men. After burying his booty, he was said to have placed a dreadful curse on the treasure so that anyone who dug for his ill-gained riches would suffer certain death. A common practice among the freebooters was to draw lots where one of the men was chosen to die. His body was then buried with the treasure, and his spirit would guard the cash from any rogues who might attempt to steal it. No one would ever discover where the treasure was located, for upon Kidd's arrival in Boston, he was arrested, tried, convicted of piracy, and hanged at Execution Dock in London, England on May 23, 1701. There were now two curses that weighed upon the soil of Charles Island. This would not be the last hex to grace the isle that had already gained a reputation as tainted among the locals. In 1721, 5 sailors stole Mexican Emperor Guatmozin's treasure and sailed it all the way to Connecticut. Upon finding his riches missing, he promptly proclaimed a curse upon the cash, stating that the perpetrators of the heist would suffer certain death, and all who came in contact with it would suffer the same until it was returned to him. 4 of the sailors died tragically when their boat overturned, but the 5th was spared for a short time. The riches were well hidden in the basement of the Milford Inn, but apparently not well enough. For one night, a drunk went down into the catacomb to seek more libations and stumbled upon the hidden hoard. This forced the remaining sailor to extract the treasure and move it to Charles Island, where it was never seen again, as that sailor too died without ever revealing its whereabouts. This would not deter the first permanent residents of the island, John Harris, from building a mansion there in 1835. He purchased the land for $800 and dumped another $14,000 into making it his private paradise. As the curse would have it, Harris became very ill and was forced to sell his dreamland in 1841. Around the time of Mr. Harris's tenure on the island, 1838 to be exact, 2 men stealthily stole to the south side of the island, where Kidd's treasure had reportedly been buried, and began their quest for fortunes unknown. Their relentless digging soon paid off when one of the men's spades struck the iron and wood chest. It appeared that they were going to be quite wealthy, until a screech beyond explanation pierced their ears from above. They both looked towards the stars and beheld the most hideous creature plunging from the heavens towards them. The headless skeletal demon dove into the hole, which immediately turned into smoke and blue flame. The 2 pillagers did not stick around for the smoke to clear. They were already halfway off the island by then. When they returned to the island the next day, they found that the hole had been filled in and the topsoil looked as if it had never been scathed with a shovel. As for the treasure, that too had vanished, never to be seen again. By the time Eliza Pritchard purchased the parcel in 1852, it had already gone through many more owners. No one seemed to have what it took to endure the curses of the island, except maybe Pritchard. He opened the Charles Island Hotel in June of 1853, and based upon the immediate success of his resort, it appeared that the curse was finally beaten. His daughter Elizabeth died a year later, and it was somehow blamed on the many curses of the island. In 1859, the barn on the property inexplicably went up in flames. Pritchard ran in and pulled his beloved prize horse out safely, but for some unknown reason, the horse became bewitched and ran back into the engulfing flames. Pritchard was also injured in the fire and never regained full health. On Thanksgiving Day, 1860, Pritchard collapsed while walking across the sandbar to the mainland. 2 men successfully pulled him from the rising tide, but he passed away shortly after. The failing hotel closed after falling into bankruptcy in 1868. Sarah Pritchard leased the island to the Miles Company, which built a fish oil and fertilizer factory on the atoll. This lasted for about a decade before the company financially sank. Sarah then made a deal with the American Yacht Club to lease the old hotel. Before the deal could be sealed in wax, the hotel caught fire and burned on August 1st, 1886. Deep in debt, Sarah had no choice but to let the island fall into foreclosure. Perhaps the most unlikely inhabitants of the island were the most pious of all who graced the sands of the cursed ground. In 1927, Father Edmund Baxter of St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church became the catalyst in the building a retreat for the church priests and laymen alike called St. Aquinas Retreat. The retreat opened, but not before tragedy would strike once more. On March 30th, 1929, 6 volunteer workmen attempted to row back to shore when their boat somehow capsized and all 6 perished. A stone shrine of St. Christopher was erected in memory of the 6 volunteers. Along with the shrine sat other statues, 25 buildings that included a chapel and cabins, a dining hall and paths where one could walk in natural solitude and harmony. For unknown reasons, the Dominicans abandoned the retreat in 1936. The holy building stood, mocking the words of Ansantawe, until the hurricane of 1938 hit the region, leveling and washing away almost all traces of the retreat. All that remained were stone foundations. True to Asantawe's curse, every building put on the island crumbled. Now only the spirits of the island call it home. The causeway becomes a bridge to the unknown when the water ebbs, beckoning the less wary to a small world where the other side resides. Numerous visitors have witnessed these eerie ethereal beings wandering among the trees, making no sound and floating along the dangerous edges of the shore without touching the ground. One fisherman, who was a regular to the island, once witnessed a man walking along the shore. He thought it very peculiar that the man glided over the rocks instead of staggering among them in an attempt to manipulate the rough terrain. Although he could not make out the figure's distinct features, he knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that he was witnessing something supernatural. The curses have left a heavy mark upon the island. Its tainted heart beats with the pulse of the spirits of those who scoffed at the rants they soon became victim of. If you decide to take a trip out to Charles Island, beware of the rising tide, but mostly pay heed to the curses that linger long after everyone who tried to break them has moved on. Well, maybe everyone has moved on. Now, if you remember the last story that I told you about the Nineveh Falls, I have a demon that I keep in a jar now. Somehow his powers, or lack thereof, he's sort of like a evil detector. Anyway, so I decide to visit Charles Island, right? Why not? This place sounds pretty interesting. Now, I was more interested in this so-called 2 treasures. You know, the treasure of the Mexican ruler and the treasure of Captain Kidd. I mean, if some guys found it before and they didn't have like metal detectors and shit like that, I figured it's possible that I could find both of these treasures. And fuck the curse. I've got this demon here. I'll just have him like absorb the curse, or I'll suck it into this jar along with him and it'll stay there, right? You know, I'm being bold. I don't believe in curses. You know what I'm saying? I know that demons roam, because like I told you, I have one in the fucking jar. So I say to Rasamul, I'm like, hey, Rasamul, buddy, come out the jar. Hey, don't call me buddy. We're not friends. Remember, you have me prisoner in a jar. And that's not cool. That's not cool, buddy. You know, I'm losing my powers. I need to do some evil stuff or go someplace evil so I can recharge my energy. You know, this is not fun. You've got me bound to this jar, and it's kind of cramped up in here. Every time I let loose a demon fart, I pass out because there's no air. It's pretty mean. Hey, look, maybe I'll put you in a box or something, but that's not the case right now. Rasamul, we're going to Charles Island. the hell's Charles Island? It's this place, right? There's supposed to be like treasure. Captain Kidd did some pillaging and pirate stuff, and there's supposed to be like a dead pirate guarding it. But according to the story I read, some kind of demon creature came out of the sky and hid the treasure. So I'm gonna need you to help me find it. And, you know, if you do, I'll consider letting you out of the jar and putting you in something bigger, like maybe a big bottle or something like that, you know? How's that sound? It's not like I really have much of a choice now, do I? No, you really don't. I mean, no, you don't. You don't have a choice, so we're going to Charles Island. So, you know, we got prepared. Well, I got prepared. There's really not much that he could do except for sit in the jar and swirl around like mist in a jar. So, you know, I got all my stuff ready. Metal detector and shit, shovels and things, and pickaxes and stuff. You know, I'm going treasure hunting. I left my paranormal gear at home because, like I said, fuck a curse. I'm not worried about that. I'm not gonna build anything on this island. I have no intention of doing so. You know what I'm saying? There's modern day boats. I haven't heard of any modern day shit happening. Last thing that happened there was like in the 1930s. They were still trying to get their bearings on how to sail around and shit. Maybe. But let's just get into what I was gonna do. Like I said, I'm hunting treasure. That's what I want. Could you imagine if I find this? The riches? I'll have like a piece of history. Now, of course, people are probably thinking to yourself, well, imagine all the terrible, horrible things that pirate did to get that gold. Probably the same terrible, horrible things that legitimate governments do every single fucking day to get their gold. So, you know, you're not going to try to guilt me on that one there, buddy. It's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Treasure's treasure. I'm going to dig it up and get it, and that's what it is. Fuck all you people who don't want me to have the treasure. I want the treasure. I want both the treasures. Anyways, we get to the island. You know, locals, of course, hey, you know, the place is cursed. You got to be careful, blah, 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 blah. I said, look, it's cursed if you try to build some shit there, okay, and live on it. I don't plan on living there or building anything. I'm going there for the treasure. Yeah, but there's curses on the treasure as well, because, you know, Captain Kidd did this thing where he killed one of his own men, bound his soul to watch over the treasure forever. So if you go to try to take the treasure, it's gonna find you. Yeah, and I've got something for his ass, so, you know, let him come. I don't give a fuck. Right? You know, that's what I said. That's how I felt. Bam. I'm like really souped up. I'm souped up because there's historical records that this treasure has truly been buried in these places. You know, there's a historical record of some people digging up the treasure and then running away because they got scared, like little bitches, and then come back to kind of find the treasure, but it's not there. So there's got to be some treasure here somewhere. And other people who were building shit on it for some strange ass reason didn't decide to look for the treasure. Why? I have no idea. I wouldn't be building anything. I would have believed in that little curse back then. Not now, but back then. And I would have just been like, I'm not building shit here. I'm just going to dig up this treasure, grab a few gold coins, and bounce. Right? Yeah, that's what I would have done. But that's not what they did. They built shit and shit fell and it was ruins and stuff. Anyway, so I get to the island and listen to the locals talking all that mumbo jumbo bullshit. And then I get my shovel, pickaxe, and metal detector. And I go forth. Onto the island, which isn't a huge island. You know, it's not like, oh my God, so much square footage and miles, space. It's gonna take forever. Didn't really take long before my metal detector starts. So I'm like, haha, Razamul, I think we found it. He's like, nope, that's not it. It's like, how would you fucking know? You don't know what treasure is. You don't spend gold and stuff. You go around doing fucked up shit to people and stuff. You're just saying that. Put his jar down on the ground and started digging. You know, digging for about like maybe 15 minutes. And finally, I hit something. It's like, oh shit. Clear it off. What I can see is like this wooden box, right? Almost like a coffin, sort of. But not shaped like a coffin. But long, like a coffin would be long. And about as wide as a coffin would be, but not shaped exactly like a coffin. At least that's what I thought, you know what I'm saying? I thought coffins kind of look like that little, you know what I'm saying? But this shit was not a coffin. It was a box of wood with stuff inside. Some scrolls and things, a few trinkets, a sword, you know, historical shit, some boots. a hat, jacket, pants. Then I realized, oh shit, it is a coffin. And I just dug up somebody's body and shit. That's not cool. So, I closed the box back and put the dirt back on it. I looked at Rosamund. He looked at me and said, I told you it wasn't the fucking treasure. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, asshole. And we moved on. Another 25 or 30 minutes of searching, the metal detector goes off again. I'm like, ha! He's like, ooh. I'm like, what do you mean, ooh? It's treasure? He said, it could be. It could be. I'm not sensing anything like I was sensing before when it was a dead body, but I am sensing some weird stuff here. This little jar started vibrating and shit, so I'm like, ah, this could be the cursed treasure. So, once again, I start digging. Clink! This time I hit something that sounds like metal, right? Well, obviously, it'd have to be metal for the metal detector to go off on it, right? Yeah, exactly. So, metal, I hear when I hit with the shovel. Bam. Start clearing it off. I realize it's like a lid, It's like a metal box, not a chest, like a metal box, but not one that has hinges and stuff. It's like, you slide the top on top of it and you just let the weight of the dirt keep that shit down. Well, I had to clear all the rest of the dirt off this shit. Got my little pry bar, pried it open. And as soon as I did that, this loud whooshing sound, almost like a tidal wave, came out of the box. Whoosh, whoosh. It's like, oh, whoa, shit, what was that? And then I hear behind me the voice of what sounded like a pirate. Arr! Who goes there? I'm like, what? Turn around. I see this pirate ghost standing there. Swashbuckler he was, sword in hand. Little pirate hat on, clothing, looking like a pirate. Because he was a pirate, like I said. Little blunderbuss and fucking pistol, or whatever you call those things back then. I'm just going to call it a pistol. I know it had a name that, I can't really think of that's historically accurate, so I'm just going to call it a pistol for the sake of moving the story along at a decent pace. So he had a pistol, a blunderbuss, and, his little saber. He's sitting there looking all mad and shit. Who dare bother the treasure of me matey? I'm like, I dare bother the treasure. Why don't you speak regular fucking English, ghost? Oh, how dare ye? How dare ye? Arr. Hey, look, buddy, let me tell you something, right? Shh. Number one, pirates don't say R anymore, okay? They don't say R. That shit's old. Cut it out. Get with the fucking times. From what I understand, this treasure was dug up back in like the 1800s and shit. So I'm assuming back then, y'all motherfuckers wasn't saying R either. Like, so let's move along with the times here. All right, fine, shit. God damn it, of course I don't have to say R, but I'm trying to be a little bit more authentic. Shit, I'm a fucking goddamn pirate. I'm supposed to say R to make you know that things are dangerous for you. You're gonna get hurt trying to take this treasure. I'll defend it with my death, because I'm already dead, so I can't defend it with my life. That's really funny. You want some rum? Huh. Oh, you can't drink any rum because you're dead. Ha! Oh, that's not a good one. That wasn't a good one at all. I said, so what did you do? Like, seriously. That you got killed just to watch some fucking treasure while your homeboy goes off with the rest of the crew, parties in town, probably got some ass and shit, drinking, having sex, doing whatever it is that they did back then, plundering, raping, pillaging, whatever they do. I don't know. I don't read much about you guys. Don't really care to. Don't really, there's pirates in regular, legitimate governments, so, we don't really have to read about what you guys do. It happens legally all the time. But anyway, so why? Why'd they kill you? I'm curious. Just curious. Well, see, I volunteered for the honor. Volunteered? Yes. Of course. It's an honor to watch treasure. Let me get this straight. What's your name? Raphael. Hey, say hi to Rosamund. He's a demon in the jar. And Rosamund and him spoke to each other real quick. And, Rosamund told him a story about how he was kind of responsible for this guy's wife dying so many years ago and shit before he became a pirate. Like, he became a pirate because of what Rosamund had. Let me tell you the story that Rosamund told him. All right, I'll just tell you the story. Right, so boom, this guy Raphael lived in Spain. Wow, you know what I'm saying? Had a nice life. Little farmer, doing farmer type shit that farmers do. And every, week or so, he would go down to the docks to bring his wares to sell to the incoming sailors and shit. They would come from all across different worlds or lands, and they would buy his special cheese that he made. Raphael was a cheesemaker, and him and his wife had a really decent business. It was a good business, right? So they had been together, for quite some time. I think Raphael was about like 25 at the time. You got married early back then, so they were married for like 7 to 8 years at this point. So boom, Captain Kidd and his pirate band come sailing in the port and shit, and they start harassing the cheese man. Just doing dumb pirate shit that dumb pirates do when they come to town and want to be dicks for whatever stupid ass reason. Maybe because they've been out in the ocean for such a long fucking time, so they don't know how to act when they get around people. That's what I'm thinking. See, they weren't so sexist back then, and they had like an even mix of men and women on these ships, they wouldn't be such dicks when they get to shore. You feel me? Right? That's not the point though. The point is, they got there, they started acting all rowdy and shit. And they knocked one of his wheels of cheese off the table that he had set up. So, Raphael, he was a proud cheesemaker. He was upset about this shit. He's like, hey, you assholes, the fuck kind of shit is that? You knocked my damn cheese wheel. This is fucking grade A shit here. You knocked it on the fucking ground. I can't sell this. You're gonna have to compensate me for your fucking blubbering dumbass bullshit. One of the pirates went to go slap Raphael, and Captain Kidd grabbed his hand. Arr! How dare you speak to me this way, cheese man? Do you know who I am? Raphael was like, yeah, I know who the fuck you are. You're a fucking asshole. That's who you are. You're an asshole with a bunch of motherfucking assholes that just got off that fucking asshole boat of yours, and you knocked my goddamn cheese wheel on the fucking ground. That's who you are. You're a dick. Now you gonna pay for the fucking cheese or what? Now all the whole time, Raphael's wife is kind of behind him, tugging on his, shirt, trying to tell him who he's talking to. Raphael wasn't listening to that shit. He didn't give a goddamn. He was pissed the fuck off. That cheese wheel was like worth a week of work. Meaning he could survive for the whole week on that one cheese wheel. You know what I'm saying? It was a big wheel of cheese. And he would have sold it had it not hit the ground and got dirty and contaminated by these fucking damn pirates. Right, now he only brings about 2 to 3 cheese wheels per trip because they're big and it takes a while for him to make this special cheese that he makes. So he only had 2 other ones with him, but they weren't of the same size as the big cheese wheel. See, the big cheese wheel was for a specific customer that comes every week to get that cheese wheel. Obviously, the smaller ones he can slice up and make little slices for people and shit like that, but he always goes with that one cheese wheel every week for that customer. So he tells them that they have to pay for this shit. Captain Kidd laughs, and the wife is trying to tell her husband who this Captain Kidd is, and he's not listening. He's not listening at all. It was at this moment, Captain Kidd beckoned to 2 of his men. John, James, come hither. They come over. He said, grab the wretch. Raphael looks at his wife, because that's where Captain Kidd pointed. He's like, Oh, you better keep your fucking hands to your fucking self. Don't you dare touch my fucking wife. Are you out of your fucking mind? I'll fucking kill you, you sons of fucking bitches. You already knocked down the goddamn cheese. I've asked you to pay for it. Now you're pointing at my fucking wife. What are your intentions? What are your intentions? Well, their intentions were horrible. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna get into detail. We don't need to. They're pirates who have been on a ship for months. She's a beautiful woman married to this man who makes cheese. I think you guys can connect the fucking dots as to what happened without me having to tell you what happened. Either way, after what happened, Captain Kidd decides that that's not enough. That's not enough. He kills the poor woman, then takes her body and puts it in a box, then puts that box on his ship. Now, heartbroken as Raphael is, he loved his wife with all his heart. That was all in the world that mattered to him. That was all that mattered to him. So it was at this point where Raphael did the only thing that he could do to be with his wife. And that was to join the ranks of Captain Kidd's crew as a cook, because he did know how to cook. He was actually pretty good at it. And that was the only way he was going to be with his wife, because that was Captain Kidd's way of torturing this guy, is by keeping his wife locked in a coffin on his ship so he couldn't bury her. So for years, Raphael would work as a cook on this pirate ship with Captain Kidd and his crew. So when the opportunity came up for him finally to die and be with his wife, he chose to do so. You know, the captain said, "Okay, we need a man to guard this treasure for eternity." He said, "I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. But I'll do it on one condition. You gotta take my wife off this boat and bury her with me and your treasure. Or not with your treasure, but just at least bury her on this fucking island here, and I'll willingly guard your treasure." Now, of course, Captain Kidd figured, it's not too bad of an idea. Maybe I'll bury the treasure with the body of his wife. He'll guard it for an eternity, because it's his wife's body and the treasure's in there with her, so why not guard? Two birds, one stone is what he figured. And it worked out, because Raphael willingly died. Sliced his throat, he bled out next to his wife's burial spot, and that was the end of that. So, when he found out that the demon that I had in the jar, Rosamul, was the cause of this pain, because see, Rosamul can influence certain activities and things, and he's the one who made Captain Kidd, because trust me, most pirates are not going to take a dead body on their ship. What the fuck would the point of that be? They toss shit like that overboard. To have a rotting, stinking corpse on your ship for months at a time, years actually, is just not hygienically safe. It's not a good thing to do. Could you imagine being on that ship? Number one, you motherfucking stink anyway. Out there for months. Nobody washing their ass. Nobody's washing their ass. Your fucking breath smelling like hot garbage. Funky. Ball sweat mixed in with the smell of the sea. Whew. Maybe they just wouldn't have noticed it, but I don't care how bad you stink, the smell of rotting human flesh, I'm quite sure, is a lot worse than some BO, right? I mean, shit. Anyway, it was Rosamul that convinced Captain Kidd to do what he did with the body of the wife of Raphael, which is really fucked up. So, Raphael, now that he sees that Rosamul, who's I kind of said was my buddy demon, I shouldn't have said that, he's mad now. Now he's upset. Now he's not just like, oh, I'm guarding the treasure. Now he's like, oh, payback's a bitch, motherfucker. Yeah, this is your. Then I had to explain to him, like, wait, Raphael, chill out. Listen, I'm not friends with him. I was joking when I said my buddy, the demon. How are we buddies? He's locked up in a fucking jar. Does that look like something that you would do to one of your friends? Probably not. I said, I'm actually a hunter of demons. But today I'm hunting treasure. And since you know where this treasure is, I'd like you to tell me. And you can kick Rosmul in his demon balls, if that makes you feel any better. You know what I'm saying? Since he's the one who got them to put your wife's body on the pirate ship, which then made you have to be a pirate for all those years to die here with her in a place that you're not from. And they never paid you for your cheese. That's fucked up, man. All they had to do is just pay you for your fucking cheese. Here's the deal, right? I have a deal. It's a perfect deal. You give me the treasure, right? I'll give you 10 times what that wheel of cheese is worth. And then your soul can be at rest and you can travel on and be with your beloved. Isn't that what you want? Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Well, treasure's this way. Follow me. So, he leads me to a rock. And under this rock is another box. Now, you wonder what was in the metal box that you opened up in the first place. He was. That's where he was. He was in that box. The treasure wasn't in that box. He was in the box. See, it was a trick. See, you would dig up his soul, and then he'd kill you because he knew you were looking for the fucking treasure. Because why else would you be around digging in dirt on a fucking abandoned island somewhere? Like, really? He would know off the bat. Oh, kill this person, go back in my little thing, and supernaturally cover the dirt back on him. Yeah, be ready for the next one. Reset. Yeah, that's what it was, right? So he leads me to the rock. Under the rock is another chest. And inside this chest is the treasure. Pearls and gold coins, sapphires and rubies, diamonds, all types of gems and gold and silver, flasks of the best libations known to man. Of course, I don't partake in that, so it was of no use to me. I gave it to Rosalind, poured it in his jar, let him swoosh around in it, Raphael said, okay, this is how much I am owed for my cheese. I gave him 10 times that and said, be on your way. He said, no. What about the other part of our deal? See, I had forgotten that I told him he could kick Rosmul in the devil balls. Demon balls, not devil balls. He has demon balls, not devil balls. Rosmul obviously wasn't too happy about this shit. But then I told Rosmul, well, you probably should have kept your fucking mouth shut and not told him the story of what you did to him. He's like, yeah, but I needed that little bit of anguish to keep me going. And I knew if I told him that I'm the one that did what I did to him, then he'd be in anguish. And there's nothing more delicious than the anguish of an anguished soul. It's even better than the anguish of a living person. Oh God, it's so aged and delicious. I mean, this guy's been in anguish for centuries. That was some good stuff. It's like, you are the worst. You're the worst, Rosmul. Like, you are the absolute worst. I am. I'm a fucking dick and a half. Times 12. Well, you know what's gonna happen right now, right? Because I did promise him that he could kick you in your devil balls. I mean, demon balls, because you're not the devil, so you have demon balls. But I told him, I don't have any balls. Well, pretend you have balls. Are you fucking stupid? I have the goddamn treasure. Let's work together here for a hot second. You get out the jar for a little while. He kicks you. You reel over like you're in fucking pain for a little bit. And then you go back in the jar and all's good. We leave here or we go find the other treasure. How about that? Doesn't that sound good? No? Yes. It does sound good, doesn't it? And that's what we're doing. So get out the fucking jar. Let him kick you in your demon balls and let's move on. Shit. So that's what I did. I let him out the jar. He formed into his little misty kind of human form. Raphael kicks him. He goes, "Oh God, my demon balls!" and rolls over on the ground, gets back in the jar, and then we move on. Raphael turns into a bright light, shines, goes off into the sky to be with his wife. At least that's what I assume happened. I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm assuming that's what happened. He went to go with his wife. And that was that. With that treasure. Now we were looking for the treasure of the Mexican Empire, or Emperor, that was stolen and brought to Connecticut for whatever strange reason. I mean, that's a long way to go to hide some treasure, but I guess I could understand it. If I had taken something from somebody and I didn't want them to find it, I sure as hell wouldn't bury it anywhere close to where I got it from, for fear of being found out by said person who I robbed, right? So I guess, excuse me, it makes sense that they did what they did. Now, what I decided to do was use my metal detector again to see if I could find any more metal. So here I am going again. This time it takes 3 hours. Because, I'm combing this beach, 5-foot wide section, 2-foot wide section, walking up and down, up and down, up and down. And finally, the fucking metal detector goes off again. We're kind of in the center of the island on some rocks and shit, mountainous area. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how is there going to be treasure here? This doesn't look like diggable ground, right? Just at that point, Rosmul's like, there's a cave. I'm like, there's a cave? He's like, yeah, there's a cave. Look over there. To the right-hand side, under that ledge of rock where the tree is growing from, the base of the tree, there's a cave. On that. You might have to chop the tree down to get into it. That tree wasn't always there. It's like, a lot about this place. Oh, yeah, I had something to do with these guys, too. I'm like, this guy is terrible. I said, do I dare ask what it is you did? No, you don't want to know. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. You don't want to know about this. You might change your opinion of me. Yeah, you're probably right. So let's just keep it without me knowing. I don't know. Anyway, so I chopped down the tree, because of course I have all the tools I always need when I need them conveniently for my stories. It just so happened to appear out of nowhere. Magic axe, tree, chopped, bam, down, on the ground. It was. Quickly and in a hurry, I went into this cave. Lantern lit. But it was really a flashlight. Lighting up the area, looking around. Boom. Where, oh where, is this goddamn treasure? Oh where could it be? Is what I'm singing to myself as I'm walking. And Rosamund was getting kind of pissed off because he's like, why don't you just shut the fuck up and look for the fucking treasure? Jeez. I was like, I have a feeling you know something and you're not telling me. It's like, what do you mean? I don't know anything. I mean, I know some stuff, but like I said, I'm not going to tell you anything because you might change your opinion of me. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, whatever, fine. It probably would. So we've already established that. So let's just keep going forward. I'm trying to find this treasure. So I get into the cave, bam, get towards the back of the cave. And when I get to the back of the cave, there's a hole from, I guess, the ceiling of the cave. Don't know where it leads to, don't care. There's light shining. And then the light that has been shone down upon the ground of the cave is a small box. It's a small box, right? Small box, old-timey, ancient-looking box with a little lock on it. I crack the lock off. I get ready to open the box, and I hear Rosamund start laughing, trying to hold it in. Not laughing out loud, but I'm like, shut up. So I get ready to open the box. I'm like, all excited and shit. Like, yeah, I'm about to find some really cool, interesting treasure because, the Mexican emperor was really pissed off that they stole it and put a curse on it. So what could it be? I wasn't happy when I finally did open the box, right? I wasn't happy at all. I opened the box, and in the box are a pair of demon balls. Rosmul cracks up laughing. Rolls around in his jar, laughing his ass off. I'm like, let me guess, Rosamund. These are your demon balls, aren't they? Yep, they're mine. It's like, why are they in a box? Well, I could tell you, but like I said, you might change your opinion of me. Tell me, please. Just tell me. I don't care anymore. I need to know why you would remove your own demon balls and put them in a box. All right, well, think about it, right? You know, the fucking emperor cursed the treasure until it would ever be returned to him. Nothing good would come to those who looked for the treasure. And I figured to myself, I don't like this guy. You know, he's a dick. He's got more treasure, so why is he being a douchebag about the treasure that he's lost? So I decided to go fuck his life up. You know what I'm saying? I bought him back his treasure. I made myself look human and shit. Bought him back his treasure, you know, just to see what kind of guy this was. And I was gonna fuck with his life anyway, but I wanted to have some fun. So, in the box, I left my demon balls. And I need them, who cares? Put them in the box for all the rest of the people that were gonna come there and try to find this treasure. And every time they open the box, they see a couple of demon balls, and they get really upset, like, what kind of treasure is this? Anyway, so I go back to Mexico. I bring him his treasure. And this guy, you know, immediately tries to have me arrested and shit for stealing his supposed treasure. How did thou know where the treasure was if thou hadn't stolen it? Is what he said to me. And I was like, I followed the fucking assholes that stole the treasure. It's like, do you know who I am? And he's like, no. Thou is a thief. Thief thou is. You shall be hanged. Immediately. Hanged? You're gonna hang me, buddy? I think not. You're not hanging shit. In fact, I'm gonna hang you by your fucking intestines from the ceiling of your goddamn throne room. And that's what he did. He hung the Mexican emperor guy with his intestines from the ceiling of his throne room. His wife and children came in and seen this. Was like, ah, screaming and yelling, of course, because that's what people do when they see some shocking shit. And, you know, Rosamund ended their suffering rather quickly by removing body parts from them as they screamed. You know, first he would like rip off a nose and shit and ears and things. And he put them all into a box. And he took that box and he buried that box with his demon balls. But see, demon balls are eternal, so they'll still be there, but the other parts of the body rotted away, and you know, that's why there was just demon balls left in the damn, you know, box. So I was like, you know, you could have told me that earlier. Instead of, you know, being a douchebag and letting me go looking for this motherfucking treasure and shit. He's all, that's not even the worst of it. Wait until you get back to, you know, the car and we leave here and you go looking at your treasure that you think you have, that you don't really have, but you think you have treasure. Go ahead, look in your bag. Is there treasure in there? I'm like, yeah, there's fucking treasure in there. I just put the fucking treasure in there after I gave some treasure to the goddamn Raphael guy so he can go be with his wife and pay for his wheel of cheese. I look in my bag, there's treasure. I said, see, treasure. Shut the fuck up, Rosamund. In fact, you're getting in the bag. I put his jarred ass in the bag, zipped it up, went back, crossed the shore, got in my car, drove back home. You know, Milford is not very far from where I used to live. So I get home, right? I hear Rosamund basically the whole entire time I'm driving, laughing his ass off. And I'm wondering, why is he laughing his ass off, right? Why is he laughing his ass off? There's no need for this laughter. Unless... I could smell a stink coming from my bag. It was a nasty stink. Smelled like decay and rot. I open up the bag to take Rosamund out, and I'm immediately hit with this wave of stench so foul that I immediately throw up all over the fucking place, right? He's cracking up laughing, you know? I put him on the table. I look in the bag, and in the bag is like 100 years worth of ghost shit. Do y'all remember what I told you about ghost shit? Yeah, you remember, right? Okay, well, now I had a bag full of it in my house, and I was not happy about it. I was throwing up. I zipped the bag up and I threw it outside as quickly as possible. Made sure none of it got anywhere inside my house. I'm like, Razamu, you douchebag, why? He said, I told you you were gonna change your opinion of me. I was like, yeah. Now I don't think I want to keep you in this fucking jar as my little companion anymore. They ain't gonna destroy you. Fucking dick. Well, anyway, folks, the moral of the story today is there's no such thing as buried treasure. If there was buried treasure from hundreds of years ago, believe me, someone has already fucking found that shit by now. Alright? You're better off searching the seas for treasure. You might find some there, underwater, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meters below the surface, but you're not gonna find any goddamn treasure on land. That wasn't put there extremely recently. Alright? All these little treasure maps and things, trust me, they've been plundered and pillaged many years before you even thought of going to try to find it. So don't do it. Don't be a jackass like me. Don't go treasure hunting. Unless, like I said, you're going deep sea diving for treasure, where the likelihood of finding treasure in the deep sea is a lot greater, although small, but greater than finding it on land. You know, people don't live underwater, but people live on land. And on land, people build things, and to build things, you usually have to dig up shit. And when you dig up shit, you find shit that's been buried in the ground. So, I should have known fucking better. I should have known fucking better. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of OmenG's Stupid Scary Stories, and join me later when I release another story, also written by Thomas D'Agostino and Arlene Nicholson, and read from the book Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends. Until that time, folks, have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and don't go looking for buried treasure. Just don't do it.